you ever told yourself that you'd rise to the occasion, only to find you fall short when the pressure comes on? Well, what if the secret isn't to keep running away from pressure, but it's actually to learn how we grow through it? Dr Dave Alred, one of the elite coaches behind England Rugby's World Cup win in 2003, and former World No.1 golfer Luke Donald, believes that pressure is where a true growth mindset is formed. His book, The Pressure Principle, completely changed how I think about growth, confidence, and mindset. In this video, we'll cover 5 strands from this book, which will help anyone to handle pressure and develop a growth mentality. I started to use these strategies over 8 years ago, and it completely changed how I think about pressure and my attitude towards growth and development. Before I go into the 5 strands that I've selected that help make up the pressure principle, I want to tell you a bit more around why I would highly recommend this book for anyone who's looking to develop a growth mindset. The pressure principle came to me at the perfect time 8 years ago. It was just as I was experiencing a huge lull in confidence in both my career and in any sport I was playing. At the time, I couldn't recognize why I was failing to cope with the pressure, but after reading this book, it helped me to understand that I was experiencing a performance anxiety, and I just didn't have the mechanisms to cope with it. But when I'd read this book, it gave me simple techniques that I could use on a daily basis if I needed to, and it just helped me to cope far better under pressure. I wasn't suddenly immune to pressure, but it just meant that I had the tools needed to try and get through them as best I could and know that I was able to perform at a far higher level than I had just a short time ago. By practicing these skills every day, it just helped me to get used to dealing with pressure and not hiding away from it. Alred defines it as the interference with your ability to concentrate on a process, consciously or subconsciously, causing a deterioration in technique and performance. In short, pressure doesn't just test your skills, it also tests your mind, which is why these 5 strands are the ones that I go back to time and time again to help me handle pressure. The first strand of Alred's pressure principle that we'll look at is anxiety, learning to feel in control. Anxiety is that feeling of a threat. Our bodies can often tense up and we can start to lose focus. So these are 2 techniques that I use to control my anxiety when the pressure comes on. So firstly is command posture. This is when we get a physical confidence through shoulders down, neck long, and chin in line. When your body looks confident, your mind follows. Second is the dentist effect, and this is the process of exaggerating a scenario that you're feeling anxious about. The idea behind this is to exaggerate it to a point that when the real scenario comes, you actually feel calmer because the situation isn't as bad as you feared it could be. Next up is language, and what we want to do here is to reframe the conversation. Language has a direct impact on the way that we perform under pressure, but there may be phrases and sayings that you've heard over and over again, but you never realised how it might be impacting you. One such example of this would be something like, "Don't mess this up." It's a phrase that typically people say to show their support, but what something like that does, with its negative connotations of failure, is it reminds us of a chance that we won't succeed in the task we're about to complete. So instead, try and reframe our language to be positive and descriptive. Something like, "Speak clearly and take your time," is a much better way of trying to help someone get to the end goal they want to achieve. What we want to remember is that language drives focus, and focus drives performance, which leads us on nicely to a mindset shift that we can use language for, and that's the better than before mindset. What this means is that we always use language that frames ourselves improving and getting better than we were before. Whether that means that we've lost our job or we've suffered an injury, what we don't want to do is get back to where we started. Instead, if we use language to approach a mentality that says we want to improve from where we started, that shows that we're always looking to grow and develop ourselves. The 4th strand is behaviour, train like a pro. Alred uses a model which is repair, training, and match. Repair is private practice where we typically work on a skill or technique. Then training is when we practice those skills or techniques in a group setting, ideally with feedback. And then the match is when we let go and we perform. Now, if we were to give an example of an actor preparing for a stage play, if we go through repair, that might be something like practicing lines or a specific movement in the piece. Then we go up to training. This might be the dress rehearsal or just general practice in a group setting. And then match, that would be the performance that comes up next for them. So I really like to use this model in my life, whether that's presentations or even for this YouTube channel. The final strand of the pressure principle that I've picked out is environment and dislocating your expectations. For me, Environment is that final piece of the jigsaw puzzle that needs to come together to fully be able to perform under pressure and develop that growth mindset. Alred calls it dislocated expectations, which means that we're preparing for the worst of any environment we come into. In sport, that might be the pitch, the crowd, or the weather. In life, that could be the room we go into, or the sound, or even the lighting. But what we want to do is really just prepare for the worst of any scenario. If we've prepared on that basis, then anything below that is something that we should be ready to tackle more comfortably. The pressure principle changed my life and helped me learn how to cope when things get intense. These strands don't make you immune to pressure, but they will help you to learn that you can grow stronger under it. It doesn't have to mean that pressure shrinks us. It actually can be something which sharpens us if we allow it to. I'd love to hear from you in the comments with any techniques that you use to cope with pressure and help you to develop a growth mindset. There's loads more content just like this coming every week, so please subscribe and I'll see you next time.